I think having had a successful business career, it's nice to be able to actually put something back for your fellow man.
Yeah.
Right? And that is a question then of volunteering. I'm a volunteer,
yes.
So are all the others with FASS,
yes.
or on the board rather. And I think that in its essence is we have a number of counsellors and we have a lot of paid counsellors and a lot of unpaid volunteers.
Yes, absolutely.
And the volunteers are a very important part of what we do. Yes, they are.
And what are your hopes for FASS for the future?
We are very dependent on public funding, and that funding comes from government. It comes via the NHS, via the ADP, the Alcohol and Drug Partnership, and it also comes via Fife Council, because they all have robust financial systems, etc. And the money is dispersed that way, which is a very sensible thing to do. We also try, where possible, and we're only in our infancy with this, is trying to gain a little bit of money for one or two other projects which are out with that.
So diversifying what
Kearney
you're doing.
Clubs being an example.
Absolutely, yeah.
And Kearney Clubs has started and become very, very successful in a short period of time. So the hope is that we will both continue and also survive. We are in a cleft stick here because we are reliant on that amount of money coming in from government, and if that money is cut or dries up in some form or another, then FASS would cease to exist.
Yeah.
So, or have to be curtailed. So it is very much with a weather eye on the future. We cannot assemble a nice big bank balance because that's just not part of the game.
No.
And when we apply for contractual work, we have to specify the number of man hours or woman hours or people hours that have to be expended and so on. And we work throughout the whole of Fife. So from the west to the east, north and south. And as you know, Fife is very diverse. It's got the rich old farming areas. It's got the academic side at St Andrews. It's got the old shipyards. It's got the old coal mining areas, etc., etc., etc. So there's a whole wealth, and there's also a commuting belt from Fife going to Edinburgh. Yeah,
which you will be used to with travelling into...
Yes. Yeah. So there is an amazing wealth in Fife. So our job is to try and curtail and hope to not eliminate alcohol entirely, but to where there is either misuse or abuse of alcohol, to try and regulate and reduce that for the people concerned.
That's great. Thank you, Mike. Hello, this is Lisa from Holding the Space, and we're here with David Torrance, MSP, who is here to support the FASS AGM today. How are you, David?
Communities and the amount of work we do within my constituency, because the area I represent, as you know, is wide-ranging and has quite a high number of areas with deprivation in it, and the volunteer sector is so important in delivering services in these areas because they're real complex needs a lot of the times, and with the council and the government, the third sector is now coming in and taking place and delivering services a lot of the time far better than the government and the council could do, because the volunteers are there on the ground, they know the communities. It's really important to groups like FASS and other groups that these volunteers are doing them and providing the services that these individuals and families need.
Yeah, and I understand that you're very passionate about community involvement.
I've always been passionately involved with the community. I've been a member of the Scout Association for over 50 years.
Yeah, it's the same group, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the same group, never moved. I do not know where that time has went. It's just flown past. But I'm also a board member of the YM because of what they deliver and what they delivered for me when I was a youngster. And I believe that what I gained out of it it's right for me to be there and try and keep them going forward and help them along, just because of the experiences I had. And it's the same with the Scout Association. What I gained from the Scout Association what I did was incredible, and I want to offer these opportunities to young people out there in our society.
Yeah, I could absolutely hear that passion in your voice for passing on what you've gained and what you've learned within our community.
Yes, and to me it's about giving back. People forget that sometimes, but when you gain experience doing something and you love doing it, why not pass that on to other groups out there who will maybe never ever get that experience unless you go out there and give them it. And that's what's so important in communities. And giving people opportunities is so important as well.
So very much offering that gift of time to others, and as well as you're offering your time today to FASS.
Yes, no, I know time is important to everybody. But everybody has a couple of hours they could spare a week to give to an organisation and to go out and help people. Or even go and help in your street or your community for a couple of hours a week. Everybody could do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, David Torrance, for holding the space.
Thank you very much.
This is Lisa and welcome to Holding the Space with K107, and we are here today with Robert Gibson, who is our Trustee Director and Treasurer of Fife Alcohol Support Service.
That's correct, Lisa, yes.
How are you, Robert?
I'm great, thanks. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. Now, those Trustee Director and Treasurer, that must keep you quite busy.
It keeps me very busy. In fact, my journey with FASS really began 15 years ago, and it came out of my involvement with some of the homeless charities. And that's the first point when I started to get involved with individuals and families that were suffering from drug and alcohol abuse, and it was then that I began to focus on what I might be able to do. And at that time I was invited on to the board of FASS, initially as just a trustee, but about 18 months after that I was invited to be the treasurer of FASS. And being a qualified accountant, it was a challenging position, but one which I was delighted to take up. And I've been a trustee and the treasurer of FASS now for 13 years, which is a long stint.
That's a long record of volunteering.
Yes, it is. It's always difficult. I've found in my experience it's been very difficult to find treasurers that are willing to get involved in organisations like this. The treasurer's job is very demanding. It's about keeping control of the finance, not just the finance. There are various legal requirements in terms of the accounts and lodging with Companies House and complying with OSCR requirements and doing the annual return.
So it's a role of great responsibility then?
It is, yes, and I continue to happily continue in that role, and I find it very, very rewarding. And your question was, why do I volunteer? Well, it's because I do find it really rewarding. And what makes it so is that when you read our annual report, which goes to the AGM, you see the scope of activity that FASS undertakes, the amount that we achieve, the amount of clients that we deal with. And that's all helping people out there that have got problems with addiction to drugs and alcohol. And hopefully that will bring benefit to so many individuals. So I think the annual report really highlights the scope of activity, how well we do things, and particularly the outcomes that we're achieving, which is, I find, really rewarding.
And that goes back to your first experience of seeing those people needing help, and now you're actually seeing the proof in the pudding, if you like.
Going from the journey of seeing what problems exist out there to actually an organisation like FASS and others dealing with these individuals, and families that are suffering as a result of.
How does that feel looking back, sitting here as the treasurer, trustee, director of the charity, and looking back at that moment where you're just seeing the personal effects?
Yeah, well, we've come a long way, and the last year has been particularly rewarding in that we've had additional funding for Kearney clubs. It's not directly related to the core service that we provide, but nevertheless is a great service for people out there that are suffering from loneliness, etc. But the big thing this year was the award of funding for Seek, Keep and Treat.
Yes.
Which is another aspect to services to people that are having problems, and a service that's not quite there at the moment, but which FASS has been nominated as part of an interdisciplinary team to tackle that issue, and we've got 3-year funding of £400,000.
Congratulations.
To deliver that service. So it's been a great achievement for all the people that worked to put in our application and to convince the ADP that we should be part of that team and to provide £400,000 of funding for it. So we continue to develop our services, and we're on a journey, and we're well regarded out there. It's about reputation, and I think from our perspective also, why do I volunteer? It's because FASS has such a great reputation, and we will continue to do that, hopefully. And you'll come on to ask me about what my hopes for the future are, and I'll cover that when you ask that question.
What's your, because I know that the volunteering volunteers is a major part of the FASS operation, and couldn't survive, if you like, without those volunteers.
That's correct. Volunteers, they make a huge and important role in FASS and the services it delivers. And the trustees of FASS are really grateful to the trustees. The organisation just wouldn't be what it is if we didn't have so many volunteers willing to give up so much time.
Include your good self, of course.
Myself and all the other trustees.
Yes.
Because we have a great skills base on the executive committee, all of whom are volunteers. We've got some people that stay locally, but we've got Mike Ray, for example, that travels for Carnoustie to the meetings, and that's Mike, a retired businessman who brings that aspect to the running of the organisation, does a lot on the publicity and marketing side. Alan Finlay, who's an ex-policeman, so he brings a perspective to
the criminal justice side of it.
The criminal justice side of it. And we've got John Hamilton, Judy Hamilton, who's a councillor, a representative on Fife Council, brings her knowledge and skills to the table as well. So we've got a huge volunteer base at executive level, but operationally we have a substantial number of volunteers committing a huge amount of hours annually to the organisation. And as I've said, the organisation wouldn't function as well as it did without these volunteers and their involvement.
And what are your hopes for FASS in the future?
Well, FASS, for me, will have a lot of challenges in the future. Some of these might be financial, some of these might be because of service reviews. So I think there'll be a lot of challenges. I think the scale of the problem in terms of addiction to drugs and alcohol won't diminish. I think there'll still be a high level of problem there. So there are a lot of challenges. 10 years from now, it'll be FASS's 50th birthday or anniversary or whatever you want to call it. We've just celebrated our 40th anniversary. very successfully, and that was recognised in the Scottish Parliament. We were Organisation of the Year last year in terms of Fife Voluntary Action and their annual awards. So
congratulations.
The 40th was much to celebrate, and I'm looking forward to the 50th, and hopefully FASS will be stronger, fitter, and still continuing to